Well, as you can see, the day's begun amid fog and mist, and it also begins amid a continuing occupation of those Ukrainian state and government buildings in 9 or 10 cities. It seems that those pro-Russian protesters and militants refuse to give their ground. They're holding on to those police headquarters. The most recent building they took was yesterday morning, so we haven't heard of any more occupations overnight. But of course, crucially, from the point of view of Kiev and the West, we haven't heard of any intention to withdraw. I think the most important development really in the last 12 to 15 hours has been that phone call between President Putin and President Obama. The White House says that it came at the insistence of the Kremlin. Each president asked the other essentially to stand down forces to which they might have influence, but nothing has yet emerged from that phone call.
And James, of course, as we were seeing pictures now of some of the forces breaking windows in Donetsk, establishing their positions. It's very tricky, isn't it, when you hear that President Putin is saying, no, these forces are absolutely not ours, yet we're getting reports of them standing up and saying they're part of the Russian military.
Yes, and I'm sure that that's something that Mr. Obama and Mr. Putin probably discussed via their translator during their phone call. Essentially, we hear from the Kremlin, and Mr. Putin says that any attempts to say that these are actually Russian forces are simply unreliable. But nevertheless, we've seen footage which indicates people identifying themselves as, well, we've seen one particular piece of footage where someone identifies himself as a Russian colonel. I think, nevertheless, that will have been at the heart of that phone call between the two men. Mr. Putin, perhaps, Mr. Obama, rather delicately, perhaps, called on Mr. Putin to use any influence he may have with the protesters to get them to leave. Of course, perhaps off the record, the White House would say, well, influence, they report directly to him.